We have to start, though, with what you need to know. And you today is you, any professional football player who may be out there considering whether to opt out of the 2020 season, because today is the deadline with a small asterisk. Today is the day you must decide whether you're going to opt out. If you don't, you have very limited opportunities to do so after today. You either have to have a diagnosis of some sort of a high-risk medical condition that you currently don't have, or you have to have a family member who is hospitalized or who dies from COVID-19. If you don't fit into either of those two categories, and hopefully you won't get a chance to opt out again. If you do opt out today by 4 p.m. Eastern, it's irrevocable. You're done for the entire season. You can't change your mind later. You can't pull a Brett Favre. You can't come back. You are done for the entire year. Your contract delays for one full season, and you just come back when the next offseason begins, if there is an offseason program next year. Chris, I'm going to mention again what I said yesterday. I'm going to reiterate what I posted earlier today. For the guys who think they need more time, explore the retirement option is something you can do later. Talk to your agent before 4 o'clock Eastern today to know what it would cost you, if anything, to retire later and unretire later. And remember, there's a deadline for unretiring. It's late in the season, but you have that opportunity to walk away for at least the rest of the season if you want. You can try to come back if things get better. But don't feel like there's no way out. Don't feel like you're trapped. If you get to a point where circumstances change and you're no longer comfortable, you don't have to stay. You can retire. There's an easy path if you wouldn't owe a significant amount of money to the team.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And
yeah.
even then, some guys may say, "I'll write the check. I don't care."
Yeah, well, I mean, they might. You're right, but that's the one curveball I think in that approach, and you're not wrong with what you're saying. It is a good piece of advice for players to think like, "Oh, today's it, or I'm done forever, and I got to play football." But yeah, it's gonna be that is the signing bonus aspect, right, Mike? I mean, you get a guy who gets retired and. If he had a $5 million signing bonus, and depending on what year he is and his contract and everything like that, he might have to pay back a chunk of that. So that is going to be, something that you'll have to figure out with your agent. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Like, what if you had a guess today as the day goes on? You think we're going to see 3-5 guys here at the end of the day go, okay, I've seen enough over the last 11 days. I don't trust it. I'm out of here. Or do you think we've already seen the majority of our opt-outs and we're all done?
No, I think you're going to have some guys who waited as long as possible. Yeah, I mean, I talked to people from the union not that long ago, and they were hoping that guys would wait as long as possible to get as much information as they could before they make that decision, because if you choose to opt out, you can't change your mind. So there may be guys leaning toward opting out, but recognizing that once they go there, they can't come back. Let's wait until right before that 4 p.m. Eastern deadline on Thursday before putting pen to paper and notifying the team in writing. It has to be a notification in writing by 4 p.m. Eastern today that you are opting out. One guy who is considering it, Chris, and if he opts out, he'll be the biggest name to opt out, an all-pro last year at the cornerback position from the Buffalo Bills, Tre'Davious White. He is still undecided. He talked about it yesterday. Here he is.
Honestly, I'm still undecided, man. I got until tomorrow, but, I just wanted to come in and kind of see, like, how it was going to go, like, how the season was going to go as far as, like, moving around in the locker room, just how is the day-to-day operation, and just talking it over with my old lady and just seeing what would be the best decision for my kids, too, and that playing a part in it, and just trying to see how them being up here and not being able to come to the games and move around, and my kids being able to go to school and just being away from my family for such a long time without being able to do anything. So we just kind of just taking it down to the last day, and we're going to decide from there. So I'm still kind of undecided, honestly.
Smart move. Take it to the last day if you're undecided, because if you opt out, you can't un-opt out. And look, this is a real factor, Chris. Tre'Davious White, a first-round pick in 2017. He's got 3 years in, which means he's eligible for a second contract. He's due to make $1.8 million this year in salary.
Right.
Next year, under the fifth-year option, $10.2 million. Now, all of that will get pushed back a year. But here's the thing, and there's nothing wrong with this. Even if you're simply using it as leverage and you aren't thinking about opting out. I support it because there are so many different ways the league can squeeze players. If there's something that falls into a player's lap that lets them squeeze back, I say go for it. But setting aside the possibility that someone would do it simply for leverage, I think it's appropriate when you're considering the factors that Tre'Davious White is trying to balance, being away from family, his significant other not being able to come to the games. You know, and you look at, well, what am I being paid this year? I'm being paid $1.8 million. Well, what if they offer me more? Well, that may change the analysis. What if they offer me the second contract that I've earned by becoming an All-Pro? And remember, All-Pro, more difficult than Pro Bowl. Everybody makes the Pro Bowl, except Chris. Everybody makes the Pro Bowl. No, did you ever make the Pro Bowl?
No.
Nobody. Only 2 corners are first-team All-Pros, league-wide. You don't get to opt out of the All-Pro. It's just a piece of paper. So Tre'Davious White, one of the best 2 corners, at least according to 50 AP voters last year, that's a big deal. He's achieved a lot in 3 NFL seasons, and if they would offer him that long-term contract that he surely thinks he deserves, and he's happy with the numbers, yeah, that would change his mind, Chris. It would be a factor. It should be a factor if he's on the fence about what to do.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it'll take the hurt, off of the circumstances, certainly, give you something a little sweet in the pot. I think the thing that jumps out to me from the clip and everything I read and saw yesterday, I'll echo something you kind of said. I don't think he's doing this simply as a ploy to get more money. I think his reasoning and his concerns are real. Like he said, his old lady, his kids, everything like that. He's not going to see them, be around them. That's a real issue. Hey, that's a support system for a football player. To go home and whatever that dynamic is, maybe with your kids, girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever it is. Yeah, it's a big part. Some players, that's part of their football life. And, I think that does probably hurt him. And then he looks at it also and then goes, okay, yeah, I'm pretty damn good. Like you just said, he's an All-Pro. He's one of the better corners in football. He's by far the best corner on the Buffalo Bills team and has leverage there because if there's a spot on their roster that's a little weak, it is the corner position. They don't have a guy that can be – they're a zone defense, and he's the only guy that can be somewhat of a lockdown, man-to-man type corner. And then the other aspect of this, Mike, that I think we just got to talk to because I think it's relevant here is just, okay, yeah, pandemic, okay, really good player, deserves more money than he's being paid. And then do you think he heard maybe in the last few days that Stephon Diggs' contract got sweetened before training camp? And then that makes him think, those are things I just think about. And that's perfectly normal. And I have no issue with that at all as far as Tre'Davious White's concerned. But it just, kind of screams at you there.
And we're going to pivot to that. Let me just say this. In the event that you tuned in, after we played the sound from Tre'Davious White and before Chris referred to Tre'Davious White's significant other as old lady. That's the quote that he
used it, right?
There's an awkward little donut hole there where somebody just happened to turn us on, and Chris is using a term from the 70s, man. Like, I haven't heard someone referred to like that in decades. I was taken aback when I heard Tre'Davious White say that.
It's great. And then I'm chickening out now too because I'm like, I don't know. Wait, is it his fiance? Is he married? I need to look that up as we're sitting here in a commercial break or whatever it is. So I just use the same word that he used, right? Which is the old lady. Which is you're right. You don't hear that. It's old school for sure.
His term, not our term.
Yep.
All right, Stephon Diggs. Speaking of terms, tweaked contract on Tuesday, and it was the Antonio Brown type of restructure. This is what the Steelers did because the Steelers have this hard and fast rule. They will never redo a contract for a player who has more than 1 year left. They'll never redo it for a quarterback who has more than 2 years left. So Antonio Brown locked into a long-term deal in 2012 that he quickly outplayed, and he started to jostle. And now that we know more about Antonio Brown, it's amazing that they managed to keep a lid on it and to keep him from exploding for as long as they did. And it explains why they deviated from their practice. But what they always did, instead of creating a new contract, they would take money from future years and accelerate it into this year. So they weren't really giving him a new contract, but but they were giving him more money now. And the reality was he would borrow against the last year of the deal, and by then it won't matter because he gets a new deal, and that's exactly what happened.
Right.
That's what the Bills have done with Stephon Diggs, who before yesterday, or technically Tuesday, was the 13th highest paid receiver in football with a deal that averaged $14.4 million per year in new money when he signed it with the Vikings. He gets traded. He doesn't get a new contract. Here we are, 2 days before the opt-out deadline. His contract is tweaked with $3.3 million more this year, $300,000 less next year, but $7.7 million more in guaranteed money next year, and then a reduction of $2.88 million in salary for the last 2 years of the deal, 2022, 2023. So they move some money around. They increase some guarantee. They give him more now. And it's funny, Chris, because he met with the media yesterday, and he said he's not going to opt out. He's also not jostling for a new contract.
Right.
And then the report comes out 5 minutes later, he's already gotten the new contract.
Well,
he's already gotten the sweetener.
Is
contract.
it technically a new contract?
It's not. It's not. Well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Your instincts are right. I mean, and I don't think there's anything wrong with us saying this may be what went on, because they're not going to come out and say it's what went on. It's in no one's interest. It's not in the Bills' interest to look like they caved. It's not in Stephon Diggs' interest to create the impression that he used the pandemic as leverage to get more money this year. But it very well may be. I mean, this is a guy who said in July, I don't know about this.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, if you show up and you're like, I don't know about this, and at the same time the Bills are aware he'd kind of like to get this contract tweaked.
Yeah.
To have it all happen, to have it all get threaded through the needle 2 days before the opt-out deadline, it invites some speculation. Number one, that Stephon Diggs used that leverage to get the contract tweak. And number two, Tre'Davious White is thinking, hey, it worked for him.
Right.
It should work for me.
Yeah, no, yes. And both players got leverage. Stephon Diggs probably more in this situation after you make that kind of trade in the offseason. Buffalo did with the Minnesota Vikings. And, yes, they want to keep him there, keep him happy. I mean, Buffalo, come on. The window just opened for them to maybe start a Super Bowl run or be a team that's, in the Super Bowl conversation for years to come here. They've set something up nice. And Diggs is a big part of that plan. And I think they looked at him like, man, we got you. We run this New England system. You fit so perfectly in it. You can be Julian Edelman, yet we can line you up outside and you can beat people for 80-yard bombs like if you're sitting here watching on TV like we saw in person, in the divisional playoff game against the 49ers. So he has a special skill set that way. And I think they know that. And, of course, they wanted him to fit their scheme, which I think he really will. And, yeah, he had leverage here. Plus, he voiced his concerns like you said. We've heard he has – what did I say? Did I say something silly? What are you laughing at?
Our B-roll package was capped with Stephon Diggs slow motion spitting a loogie through the air like I just did as I said it.
Right.
It's beautiful. It was very artistic.
It was beautiful, very artistic.
As we saw it fly through the air. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Maybe we get some NFL Films music behind it too to make it even better. but yeah, I know. I just think that and then we hear the concerns he has about the pandemic and playing football. He just had a brand new baby, so that was a real issue. So I think he probably voiced those concerns to his agent or whatever else, and they called Brandon Beane, okay, Dr. Loogie over there.
You said something funny.
Did I?
And Pete Demolitis pointed it out to me. Yes, a brand new baby. Well, not to be confused with the other kind of baby.
Yes, okay.
It's a brand new baby.
It is a brand new baby. It's brand new. It is. But, yeah, I think they probably realize, and they want to keep him happy, and he's in their plans for a while. They invested a high draft pick in Josh Allen. They want to make sure that takes off. Stephon Diggs is a big part of that. So I get it. And you certainly can make the case that, Stephon Diggs was certainly underpaid. There's guys that are making more money than him at the position that I can sit here and tell you, I don't think they're as good as he is. So good for the Bills to smooth it over. And I'm happy we'll see Stephon Diggs playing football this year. But I do think that's part of Tre'Davious White. I think he found out, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's just trying to use that just as a little leverage. And he's being very honest about his situation. I don't deny that either.
Well, and the thing is, it's not going to be quite so simple to just shift some money around for Tre'Davious White. This is second contract for Tre'Davious White.
Right.
They're not going to say, well, you know what, we'll give you some of your $10 million that you're going to make in your option year now. No. This is pay me now. This is the time. The window's open. Patrick Mahomes has gotten his deal. Others who have gotten their 3 years in have gotten their deals. I want my deal. I deserve my deal. And we'll see what the deal is. I think
they got money.
Covered Buffalo, though, between old ladies and brand new babies, we have completely.
But they got the money to do it, though.
In Buffalo.
I mean, am I right? I sit here and look at it and go, they're fifth in salary cap right now in the NFL. They certainly have the change to throw it around. I don't know if they're trying to think of any moves here, but you're right. I know it's different times, and you got to balance a lot of different.
Hang on,
things.
yeah. Having cap space and having cash in a pandemic are two very different things.
Yeah.
So that may be part of it.
Right.
But we saw the LA Chargers dig very deep, and blow us away with that Joey Bosa contract. That contract, we had the numbers over the weekend.
You're still drooling over it.
Earlier in the week. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that he got what he got in this climate from that team.
Yeah.
And, we brought the subject up last week, and I think it was Rodney Harrison that pointed out, well, they are the Chargers. I mean, they tend to do things maybe they shouldn't do, and in this case, maybe they shouldn't have given him all that money now, but they did, and it really is impressive. But that's got to be something Tre'Davious White is looking at. I mean, your agent is going to be looking at all the deals that get done, all the players who get rewarded, and there is an obvious and natural leverage point that expires at 4 p.m. Eastern today. The only thing is, if you go through that door, right? If you play that card, that's a tough card to unplay. You say I'm opting out, you're gone for the year. So you hurt yourself, but you also dramatically hurt the team. As you said, they don't have the services of Tre'Davious White for the entire season.
Right.
Yeah, they get him back next year, but it's not going to help them this year when the opening is there to try to overtake the Patriots in the AFC East. All right, now, are there others? And I don't like speculating on this because for each guy, it's an intensely personal decision. There was a rumor last week that there was potentially a group of players who were going to announce their decision together. Maybe they're saving it for today. I haven't heard that same rumor with the same intensity that I was hearing a week ago, but you heard it, I heard it, it was out there.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. We've got until 4 o'clock Eastern today for it to happen, and that would be something. I mean, if you're going to do it, if you have any flair for the dramatic, today's the day to do it. Right before the 4 p.m. Eastern deadline, if there was some group of players with high name recognition that would all opt out at the same time, that would put the NFL on its ear.
Yeah, it definitely would. It'd be a blow to whatever team's got players that decide to opt out here at this last minute. Because as you're sitting there right now, a lot of these coaches and organizations, they're going forward and going, okay, here's the guys we got. Okay, looks good. And yeah, you lose a major starter here, just before the opt-out deadline. Yeah, that's going to change some things around. All of a sudden, you're going to have to look back into the free agency, pool and go, oh, man, who's out there? Who's available at this position that we can, fill this void with? It is different from that year. But I haven't heard that, that rumor has died down. And listen, I know you heard it. I heard it. Other NFL insiders heard it. I know coaches in the NFL that were hearing it too. And I don't know. Maybe it was the Stephon Diggs and the Tre'Davious Whites of the world who were all just kind of like, I'm not sure. And they told their agent, and their agent, told a few people. And it's kind of just seeped out through, the branches of the NFL rumorville here. But I have not heard anything substantial about any names that I could certainly throw out there to say that, ooh, I'm hearing this right now, or this guy's on the fence still.
And the thing is, just because Tre'Davious White was transparent about his position doesn't mean that anyone else has been. You don't have to be. And I think Tre'Davious White deliberately said what he said yesterday. He could have sidestepped that question. He could have said nothing, right? We see plenty of players and coaches not respond to questions or give an answer that sends people in a different direction. He laid it all bare, and I think that's his last move. That's his final check to see whether or not he can get the Bills in checkmate when it comes to paying him a new contract, I believe. So that's something to pay attention to today.
Yeah.
Will it be Tre'Davious White? Will he get a new contract? We'll find out. Look, I'm ready for anything today because this is it, 4 p.m. Eastern. Speak now or forever hold your peace. But remember, if you're not sure what to do and you don't want to do the irrevocable opt-out, the retirement option is a possibility. Talk to your agent today, right now. Text him or her right now. They're working for you. What would I owe, if anything, if I choose to retire in September after I go to a game or two and I don't feel comfortable? Can I retire then? Yes. How much would I have to pay back? Well, that's the answer to the question that I think will drive some of these determinations and may keep some guys from opting out.
What do you think, though?
Let's take a
Over
quick
under
break.
today. Over under today. Like, what do you think? You think it's 5?
I don't know,
more
because
than
I've been
5?
wrong all along.
Well, I know. That's what I mean. I mean, like, I think it's
8.5. 8.5.
That's where you're going to set it at? I would go under. I would go under all the way. I would think we've seen the majority of the opt-outs. You might have 1 or 2 guys today who go, okay, I've been thinking about this. This is it. I'm out of here. But I would think that everybody else has kind of wrapped their head around, all right, I've made it this far. It looks pretty good. You know, it's better than what I thought. That's the one thing we continue to hear, to where, yeah, I'm going to say it's a low number.
When you consider the sheer number of players in camps right now and the fact that, you know, we all procrastinate. The NFL is a deadline-driven business anyway. There could be guys who have had this nagging sense. And like anything else, whatever it is, something that needs to be fixed at your house, something that needs to be done with your car, something else that, you put it off as long as you can. I'm eventually going to have to deal with this. I'm eventually going to have to deal with this. Well, today's the day when they wake up, they roll out of bed, and they say, I have to deal with it. That's why I think I'd go over 8.5, because I think there may be some guys, human nature, who have put this off as long as they can. They're going to face reality today, and they're going to make that final and binding decision unless they're confident they could retire later. That may drive the number down if they, again, talk to your agents and find out what you would owe if you retire later.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.